What's up guys, it's McKeown back again with another video this week. Today we're going to discuss some of the biggest problems that come with owning your own business. So first things first, I'm going to give people a little bit of background about myself. You may have been following me for a day or two. You may have been following me since I started my real estate journey. I always haven't been an entrepreneur at heart. To give you guys some insight of my post-high school career, my intent was to go to college, get a degree, get a job, and work in the corporate business for the rest of my life. Well, at the age of 19, life doesn't always go as planned. I wound up joining the Marine Corps and spent 4 years in Southern California, wound up getting out of the Marine Corps at 23, finished up my bachelor's degree because I did some school while I was in, and finished up my graduate school when I moved to Texas by the age of 27. Now, the big thing here is I got a bachelor's degree in mathematics and I got a master's degree in education. I wound up teaching high school in the city of San Antonio. Then wound up moving to Dallas a year later and started teaching in Dallas. But really that first year in San Antonio was the first year that I really started to have the entrepreneurship kind of mindset. Now, to give you guys even more of a background here, I don't have anyone in the family that owns a business. Technically, my sister is an attorney. At the time, she was starting to grow her attorney's office or her attorney firm and is doing quite well herself. I talked to her a lot about running a business, especially with where my business is now. But outside of my sister, I don't have a grandparent. I don't have a best friend. My parents weren't business owners. So really for me, it was all about getting in college, finishing college, and working your corporate job until you die. Well, moving into 2022, I am officially 4.5 years into making a real estate company in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I would say at the beginning of 2020 is really when I started to bring on staff or employees. So really 2 years in the making of, actually having other people that I'm in charge of. So I have a little bit of an experience now to give you guys, maybe you're an experienced entrepreneur or business owner yourself, or maybe you're someone that's just looking to start your own business. Please be aware that it isn't always sunshine and rainbows. So the first thing that I want to discuss is cost. Now, cost is going to be different based on the type of business that you want to own. There are some ways around costs. You can definitely get investors or individuals, maybe family members or friends, to be able to invest in your company. But as we all know, a new business is certainly hard to get funding for. Let's use a restaurant, for example. You're going to have a substantial amount of cost, meaning you're going to have to pay all of your employees. You're going to have to pay for a physical place for your restaurant to be at. You're also going to have to pay for food to be cooked for your customers. And all of this is before anyone even walks in the door and starts paying you for that food. But that's a restaurant, okay? Now let's dive straight into my expenses or my cost to run my particular business. Well, I got a full-time business manager, a full-time transaction coordinator and assistant, my own full-time transaction coordinator. I've got a full-time editor and a full-time videographer, and I've got 3 licensed agents on my team. Now, the 3 licensed agents on my team are technically not employees, but they do cost me money. As a team lead, when it comes to contributing to my agents, I give them office space, I give them the benefit of my videographer, as well as my business manager and transaction coordinator, meaning the benefit of the staff that I've hired. I also give them leads and a ton of just educational content moving forward. So there is cost associated with them, even if they're technically not a W-2 employee and on staff. So when you're looking at my personal business for 2021, and the fact that you add, I need to also make some money as well, or I need to salary myself properly when it comes to my company, you're looking at about $500,000 to be able to run my real estate team at the current size. And my intent is to be able to grow to an even larger team, which inherently is also going to increase the cost. So yes, there is a huge cost to really running or owning any business. I'm not able to stay in business for long if it's costing me $500,000 and I'm not at least pulling in $500,000. That's how people go bankrupt or how businesses go under. Just like I was mentioning the restaurant before, if you spend all that money on your staff, your restaurant building, as well as your food, and no one comes in and buys the food, you're not going to be able to stay in business for long. Now, there is a caveat. Obviously, I've been in business for 4.5 years and built my business to where it is now to be able to sustain an expense ratio of $500,000 a year to run my team. That's not going to be something that someone starts out day one assuming that, hey, I'm a new real estate agent, I'm going to be spending $500,000 on my real estate team. But that just gives you a little bit of clarity here on my back end of what it truly costs to run my real estate team. Now, the next thing that can be super frustrating when it comes to owning your own business, or another aspect of owning your business that's very difficult, is hiring and firing employees. Now, one of the biggest reasons I wanted to make a YouTube channel was for transparency. I see a ton of people making YouTube content or just social media content on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube, and they just show you all of the good. They don't show you all the bad. They don't show you all the turmoil. They don't show you the issues that really come on the back end of their business or the back end of whatever they may do. So really for me, this is showing you guys the real life aspect of owning a business, and hiring and firing employees is not fun. So my track record when it comes to hiring and firing employees started at the end of 2018. From the summer of 2017 when I got licensed to the end of 2018, everything I did solely by myself. So for about 18 months, I ran my business with only me. At the end of 2018 though, I brought on my personal transaction coordinator, and she has been my longest tenured technically employee, but she owns her own business, and I am technically 1099ing her. She's not an employee of my business. She is still with the company or still helping me and assisting me with transactions to this day in 2022. Now that's an example of a perfect find, someone that has been nothing but beneficial. So thank you, Heather, for coming into my life and coming into my business and helping me so much. But unfortunately, employees or 1099 individuals don't always work out as well as my first did. So my second hire was an assistant. When it comes to your business on the real estate side of things, you start to leverage other people's time and efforts to be able to allow you to do more. So the first thing that I needed to do was bring in an assistant. Well, I kind of was a pushover at the time. I needed someone so badly that whatever they were willing to do, I was willing to accept. And the first thing that I regret doing was allowing an assistant to be completely virtual. Now this was in 2019 before everyone started working remotely, so this was even pre-pandemic. But in 2019, I allowed someone to work completely from home after maybe about 2 weeks of working in person. The thing is at the end of the day, you can't monitor someone's work, at least in my opinion. You truly can't monitor someone's work that well when they're fully remote. So this individual hire only wound up working for me for about 6 months, and then unfortunately I had to let that individual go. That individual actually still watches my YouTube videos and follows me on social media and is a huge advocate of my business. It just didn't work out at the end of the day. So I went ahead and adapted that current position from an assistant to what I call now a business manager, someone that I wanted to be an extension of me, and I wound up hiring someone else shortly after I let that assistant go. Unfortunately, I wound up going 0 for 2. This actual employee only wound up working for me for about 3 or 4 months. We weren't really able to get any traction together, so as far as those 3 or 4 months goes, it was kind of a total waste. Now during this time, I actually brought on a full-time videographer. That's actually when I started making YouTube content. A couple of my older vlogs, you'll actually be able to see the first, or I guess technically the second person that I brought on that didn't wind up staying with the company for very long. And this was moving into 2020 when I brought on this business manager as well as my full-time videographer. That videographer worked for me for about 6 months, decided that he wanted to take a better opportunity elsewhere. So now I am with my current videographer who has been with me for about 10 months now. So with my first assistant not working out, and with my second assistant turned business manager also not working out, at the beginning of 2021, I went ahead and hired another individual to fulfill that business manager / assistant role in January of 2021. Well, just like the last two, I am now batting 0 for 3 when it comes to assistants or business managers, and unfortunately, she decided to take a better opportunity at the end of this year. Granted, she worked with us for the entire year and brought a ton of value to the team. I'm in search for what will be my 4th hire when it comes to a business manager currently as we speak. So all in all, I've wound up actually hiring 3 business managers / assistants. I've wound up hiring 2 videographers, one that is still with me filming this video as we speak. I wound up bringing on a part-time or full-time editor, and he is still with us. And I've brought on 3 agents onto my team. Fortunately enough, the agents on my team are not employees, and I've not had any turnover, knock on wood, on the agent side of things. And I'm hoping to grow the team throughout 2022 to about 10 to 12 agents. So I'm expecting to have some level of turnaround, when it comes to agents, but I haven't had it yet, thankfully. So yes, I'm in search for a new business manager right now, but I actually also brought in an in-house transaction coordinator and assistant this week. So by the end of January, hopefully I'm gonna have a staff plus agents of about 8 individuals on my team. So really, the frustrating part, guys, the frustrating part is the fact that you put a ton of time and effort into someone who doesn't necessarily, at the end of the day, buy into your vision, buy into your goals, buy into your drive, and buy into the company that you're trying to build. Now, I don't expect anyone ever to be able to put in as much effort and as much time and work into my business as I personally put into my business, but at the end of the day, when you put a lot of time and effort into someone, whether it be 3 months, whether it be 6 months, or an entire year, and they leave, it's just not a fun situation. And the reason is because at the end of the day, I've got to go back to square one, find someone that I think could be a better opportunity for that position, and spend weeks, if not months, retraining that individual to be able to do what the previous individual was already doing. Also, at the end of the day, these are individuals, they're real human beings with feelings and emotions, and you as an employer are basically holding on to their livelihood. Like, if you wind up firing someone, you're basically letting someone go that is relying on you for food, for comfort, for housing, and potentially even more than that if they're a mother or a father. And at the end of the day, it's not fun letting someone go when their entire livelihood is resting on a position that you hired them for. Now, cost to owning a business is certainly something that not a lot of people take into account. Also, hiring and firing employees is something that even a lot of entrepreneurs don't even necessarily get the opportunity to do because they solely own the business themselves and they don't wind up growing, so they don't ever have to hire or fire any employees. Now, the last thing that is probably one of the top things that are most frustrating about owning a business is your time. So I sponsor a lot of luncheons for new real estate agents that are coming into the business hoping to be successful. Now, I try to be realistic with them and tell them that the statistics are for someone that gets licensed to someone that renews their license 2 years later, because as real estate agents, we have to renew our license every 2 years, there is a 93% failure rate within that first 2-year period. So when I speak to a class of 50 people, you do the math, only about 4 of those 50 people will be renewing their license in 2 years. So there is a huge failure rate. Now, when it comes to other businesses such as restaurants or maybe, being an attorney and opening up your own attorney office or whatever kind of business you so desire, there may be a much higher success rate, but in real estate, it is very difficult to be successful. Now, getting your license, not difficult. Being successful though, very difficult. But really, at the end of the day, the difference between a successful agent and an agent that winds up failing is time. And by time, I mean, how much time are you going to actually put into your business? What time are you going to wake up in the morning and actually get to work? Do you have a morning routine, and are you consistent with that morning routine? Well, my morning routine has been consistent for over 3 years now. Over 3 years, I've had my alarm set from somewhere between 3 a.m. to 4:15 or 4:30 a.m. At the gym no later than 4 to 5 a.m. And we're talking not just Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We're talking Monday through Sunday. I may take a day off at the gym every so often, but very seldom, especially in my routine now, am I not getting up super early, getting to the gym and starting my day so I can continue to be doing what I'm doing now and owning my own business. A lot of people, when they get into real estate or when they are interested in starting their own business, they think that they're going to be told to be at work at 9 and leave at 5. That's not how entrepreneurship works. It's not how owning your own business works. You wake up whenever you want to wake up, and you start and stop work really at the end of the day whenever you want to start or stop work. Now, Uber for me was a great opportunity in college. It allowed me to get out of class. If I was bored, I just hit the start button. I went ahead and drove people around for a while. If I was tired, I'd drive a couple hours, or if I loved the money and was staying busy, I'd drive till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. But at the end of the day, I had the choice of when I started work and when I stopped work. And that's a huge issue when it comes from the culture that we live with in the American society, where we are raised going to school. We are raised and told to go to college, having a very structured routine. And once you're done with college, even leading up to college and all the jobs that you worked prior, you were told where to be, when to be, what to wear, what to do, and when to stop doing it. Well, when you own a business, none of that applies. Also, when we're referring to time, we're also referring to priorities. Now, there are always 24 hours in a day. You're gonna have to distinguish what you're going to do for every single hour in that day. For me, it's personally wake up, get into my morning routine, get to the gym, make sure I get ready, breakfast 8, and at the office between 8 and 9 a.m. I can tell you I get a lot more work done from the hours of 4 to 10 a.m. than I really get done from the hours of 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. I am much more active in the morning, and I'm way more consistent with work being done in the morning. For you, you could be a night owl, and you could be someone that definitely gets far more work done in the evening. But me personally, I love getting up, being able to get to the gym without any disturbances or any kind of people texting me or wanting to call me at 4:30 in the morning when I'm at the gym versus 4:30 in the evening when I'm taking a bunch of client calls. And I'm able to be consistent across the board and put in a ton of time and effort into my business to then yield some great results. So if you're someone that has owned a business for decades, or if you're someone that is just looking to get started out in owning your own business, please be aware of these 3 key items, okay? Cost is going to be substantial depending on what kind of business you're going to own. Make sure you're well aware of what it's going to cost you to run that business. Second of all, make sure if you do eventually plan on bringing on employees, that it's a disaster. I'm just kidding. When it comes to actually employing people though, it can be an absolute headache and a lot of emotional stress, being that you're gonna be putting in a ton of time and effort into those individuals, and they are not gonna have necessarily the same vision and love for your company as you do. And lastly, time. Make sure that you're gonna be able to put in a ton of time and effort into this business. At the end of the day, it's not McDonald's, it's not Wendy's, it's not Starbucks, it's your own company, and it truly, at the end of the day, is going to be what you decide to make it. If you guys do have any other questions about owning your own business, or maybe you're interested in not necessarily real estate or investing, which a lot of this channel is about, if you just have entrepreneurship questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I make sure to get back to everyone as quickly as possible. Thanks again, guys. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help, and stay tuned for the next video.